Welcome once again to Paradelphia Radio. This is Rick Pruitt in the Toxic Network Studios in West Deptford, New Jersey, along with Mr. Doug Hogue.
Live,
and Mr. Nick Abrams.
Oh, I don't hear Nick.
Does Nick not have his mic on? Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Technical difficulties already.
Okay.
Look at that.
I'll do Nick's voice.
You can do Nick's voice.
Hi, everyone.
We need to get Nick's mic. We need to get Nick's mic turned on.
Okay, well, while we're handling that.
And we also have the lovely Tiffany Hoffman in the studio with us.
Hey.
Of the Jersey Unique Minds Paranormal Group, Doug's Jumps team.
And also my cousin.
And also your cousin.
Don't like to admit that.
I'm alive.
Are you in?
You need to press the mute button.
Oh, you know what? That's on me.
That's fine. You just
My
don't
bad.
want me on the show.
My bad.
Get it.
I was so concerned with getting Tiffany on the mic, I forgot all about Nick.
It's
Of course.
It's all who's in his clique, I guess.
You know what it is? You usually sit at 3.
That's true.
Not that I had 3 open either, but
No.
Kanye made a suggestion that says turn the microphone on. So thanks, Kanye, for your
Kanye West joining us again in the chat room.
the chat room.
All right. So we are live once again for the second week in a row here.
Yeah, second week in a row, but third time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Thanks for correcting me on there. That's cool.
Yeah, no
that's
problem.
real cool, Doug.
Hey.
Uh-huh. All right. Well, one thing I forgot to mention last week, and I don't know how I possibly forgot this, but last week was our 50th show.
I was going to say something to you about that because as soon as wow, we hit 50 and didn't even mention it.
Yeah. We got so caught up in the whole Witchpalooza thing, I just completely zoned on the 50th episode thing.
Congrats.
So yeah,
You're now old.
Yeah, it's
Not as old as you.
yeah, right. It's been a wild little over a year here.
Yeah, I want to count how many episodes since I started. I'll never forget the first interview you had with me where I just talked and talked.
Well, yeah, that was prior to coming to to Toxic.
Not that I'm any different now, but
yeah, you and Melissa were on pre-Toxic.
Yeah, sitting on our couch through the iPad.
Those were the days, huh?
Yes, it was.
All right, so yeah, we have the 50th show that happened last week. This is obviously number 51, and it's a cool show. We have week number 2 of our Witchpalooza going on.
Yes.
Last week we talked about the Salem witch trials, and this week, a little later on in the show, we have a lady by the name of Rachel Hoffman, who we interviewed shortly before the show here. She is the forensic expert and lead investigator for a group called Paranormal Xpeditions up in the Salem, Massachusetts area, and she is also a self-described Christian witch, which is interesting.
What?
A contradiction. Yeah,
Yeah.
Nick missed the interview, so you'll be enlightened.
Interesting.
It's the same thing I thought when I heard Christian Witch. It's wow, what's this about? But yeah, she really...
It was a really, really, really good interview.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, look forward to that. But getting into a little bit of, I don't know what you would call it, and not really news, but upcoming this weekend,
yeah.
I am going to be doing my PLR session, my past life regression session.
Are you nervous?
I'm not nervous. But,
Are you recording it?
no, they don't. She won't allow recording.
Oh.
Yeah. But
Guerrilla style.
Yeah. But my fiance Taryn, she went and did it about a month ago, a little less than a month ago. And I think I mentioned this a couple weeks ago. She had an experience. She wasn't quite sure if it was a true past life or whether it was her own imagination, her own creativity. So it'll be interesting for me to experience that and see exactly what it is. Because that's kind of where I draw the line as far as, what is and what isn't real.
Mm-hmm.
I was always under the assumption with doing stuff like that it was you were under hypnosis. And when I think of hypnosis, I think of the guys on stage that are put under and made to cackle like a chicken.
They have no idea what they're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
But that isn't what it is. What it basically is sort of like deep meditation, and you are completely conscious, but you are in a relaxed state, and you kind of just let your mind drift. Okay. And the idea is to have your mind drift back to a past life. But the question is, are you really drifting back to a past life, or are you just drifting into your own creativity?
Yeah, it's very... I mean, again, you're going to do it and see and kind of bring us, come back and shed some light. But, I mean, yeah, it's very difficult to kind of determine.
Yeah.
You know, so we'll see what happens.
And is there any like relation to like hypnosis, meditation, and like lucid dreaming?
Yeah, I'm sure there is. Yeah.
What if that's all it really is your mind just making it up?
Yeah.
After all,
it could be. But I'll tell more last week. I'll tell more last week. I'll tell more next week. Because next week we are going to be having a show on past life regression, and we're going to be talking all about the 2 sessions that Taryn and I did. Mm-hmm. But it's funny you mentioned dreams. Now, Doug, I told you about this yesterday.
I've been sitting on the edge of my seat because you refused to tell me all there.
Yeah. Doug's a big dream guy.
It fascinates me. It's just all the things I've read and you hear about, dreams mean this. It's just, right. I don't know enough and I want to learn more.
Right. So I don't dream all that often, and when I do, it's rarely elaborate. It's usually like 99% of the time I'll wake up and I'll have like a snippet of some idea of something that I was dreaming, but it'll be gone literally within seconds. Every once in a while, I have a dream that is basically so elaborate it ingrains itself in my mind. Okay. Like there was one years ago that I had that I still remember. Literally, it was like 10, 12 years ago, where I was on the top of a circular building. I was on like the top floor of a circular building.
Right.
Imagine the floor plan is basically the center of the building is an elevator.
Okay.
And it literally circles around the elevator, and then the building is a lot of blue decor, and the building starts to fall. Okay. For whatever reason, I remember that dream.
Wow.
And more recently, maybe 3-4 years ago, I had a dream where I was basically there was what I in my own dream determined to be a bad man, basically almost like a cult leader, if I can,
Oh, jeez.
In my house. And I tried to push him out the door. It was him.
Yeah, you mentioned it. Okay.
Yeah, it was like him and a woman with him, and I dreamed I was trying to force him back out my front door. And I was I'll when I get into these dream fits, I'll start screaming in my dream, and I'll actually start screaming aloud as I'm sleeping, and it freaks Taryn out. Like she's like, wake up!
I'd shit myself.
Right. So this past it was probably 2-3 days ago. I actually had another dream, and it was so elaborate that I didn't want to forget it. So I went onto my phone here. I'm looking for this now. I went onto my phone here, and I actually downloaded or wrote down the highlights of this dream.
Okay.
All right. So I'm gonna reference this, but I can pretty much kind of come back and tell you anyway. It began. I had the sense I was down the shore.
Okay.
And it began with me feeling like I was on a boat, but it wasn't a true boat. It was almost, imagine like a piece of wood that's been cut out to look like a boat, like that shape.
Okay.
And in the distance, I saw a tall building. And on this top of this building was like a metal scaffolding that kind of went up the top of the building. And this building started to fall. Well, the scaffolding started to fall. And then the building started to fall. And my first thought, my first concern was, oh shit, where did I park my car? Because is this building falling on my car?
Okay.
And then after I had the concern for my car, then I thought, well, oh shit, there's people in the building.
Wow, selfish.
Yeah.
No.
A little selfish in my dreams.
My car.
Yeah. So there was that happen, and then as I kind of diverted my attention from the falling building, I realized that this boat thing I'm standing on, this wooden cutout of a boat, is in the middle of this huge field. It reminded me of think of a golf course.
Okay.
But not a golf course, but like an open field like that. Low cut grass, the whole thing. And there are people on this field, and they are jumping into the grass as if the grass were water, and they're swimming in the grass. And there are other people who are jumping and sliding around curved, I don't know how you can call it, curved berms in the grass as if it was like a slip and slide.
And meanwhile, you're still on this
And I'm still on the boat. I'm watching all this. And at that point, I think I was yelling at at something. I forget if I was yelling at the people or if I was yelling because the building was falling, but I woke up.
Can I ask you a question?
I don't do drugs.
Have you ever done acid? Just once?
No, it was weird, and I don't have dreams like that hardly ever. But it was bizarre, man.
It's funny, yeah, how your mind. Well, see, it's funny going on this dream topic. Like Melissa right now, in one of the classes that she teaches, it's psychology, and one of the things that she's teaching about right now are dreams. Now, of course, teaching psychology, which is where she's getting her PhD in, you gotta stick to the scientific part of it, like how the mind works and different things. I mean, she can, of course, explain it 10 times better than I can, as she can with everything else that I talk about. But
he's kissing his wife's ass right now.
Yeah, right now, honey, if you're listening. No, but seriously, it's definitely a topic where they don't make any sense.
Right.
But it's like because I've heard they say with dreams, there's just like one part of a dream that has a meaning to it. And anyone that you have in your dream that you may have never seen before,
right?
They say that at one point you have actually seen this person, whether you passed them by or whatnot.
Yeah.
And it's just
Well, I've heard that before. Yeah. Everyone in your dream is someone that you've at some point seen, even if it was just in passing at the grocery store when you were 8.
Yeah, because apparently you can't create a face in your dreams.
Right.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, and I guess the question is, like you're saying, it's an analogy to something, or your mind creating an elaborate picture or scenario. But the other side of that coin is, are you visiting a different dimension in your dream? Is your because there's a certain line of thinking where you are literally. I heard it mentioned once on a show that the closest you ever come to dying without actually dying is being asleep.
Okay. Yeah, I think something like
that. Because essentially it is exactly the same thing as dying, only when you dream you are still attached to your physical body, and when you wake up you are drawn back into your body. When you die, it's literally the same thing as falling asleep, only you don't come back.
Okay. Well, and that goes with the dying thing too. You ever have a dream where you're like you're falling, but then suddenly you wake up, you notice you never land on the ground.
Yeah, I used to always have those dreams in the middle of class, and and
that explains a lot.
And I would make a noise like ah, and everybody would look at me.
Be like, don't worry, I have Tourette's.
And then I'd try to play it off like a cough, like.
But yeah, I mean, it's weird. There's different things. Like another one, not trying to get too much into the dream thing here, but yeah, one other dream. You ever have the one where you're like punching someone, but it's like someone's holding your arm back? Mm-hmm. That's another common one that they say.
That was kind of the thing. Remember I told you the thing about how I was pushing the guy out of the house?
Yeah.
That's why I was screaming. I was yelling in part because I wanted the guy out of my house, but in part because I physically felt like I couldn't move enough to push him.
Okay.
So I was straining and screaming at the same time, and I was kind of between awake and asleep, and I was awake enough to realize that my physical body couldn't move.
Okay.
It was weird. It was a weird dream.
Wow. Well, it's Melissa's texting me right now, and she's listening. She says there are 5 reasons that we dream. I asked her if she could text it, but unfortunately she says it's too long to text. So I wish we had the capability of having her call in right now, to explain it. So
we do, I think.
Oh, do we have that?
I believe the Skype is still still hooked up.
I thought Mike took the
I don't know.
Well then, if
she can try. If she can
try.
If
honey,
she can't get through, she can't get through.
If you can't, all right, honey. If you can, I just sent her the phone number. So let's see. In the meantime, let's see if it'll happen. But yeah, I mean, it's such a huge thing that I don't know. It's interesting to me. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Don't they? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Don't they also say that you can't read in your dreams? Like that part of your brain is shut off.
I don't think I ever came across something where I was trying to read something.
I've read things in my dream before.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
But I mean, I don't remember.
You're a nerd in your dreams, is what you're saying.
but yeah, they say that. Well, I've heard it somewhere that part of your brain is turned off, and you're
really.
I mean,
interesting.
Oh,
there we go.
I think there she is. Hello, you're on Toxic Radio, Paradelphia.
Hello.
Oh, look.
There we go.
I put the para in her normal. My wife, Melissa.
What's up, Melissa?
I'm like, I hear you guys talking about dreams, and I'm like, I'm literally teaching my class about this, and I'm grading the quizzes as you're talking about it. And I'm like, oh my God, I can help you guys kind of figure out why you're dreaming these things. So if I can kind of shed some light on it.
Okay. Can you psychoanalyze my last dream?
Well, I can't do that, but I can tell you why you could be possibly having these dreams. There's 5 dream theories. There's Freud's wish fulfillment, that he believes that dreams provide like a psychic safety valve, expressing otherwise unacceptable feelings. Like it's your brain's way of thinking stuff that would be otherwise people wouldn't think that they're allowed to think. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, the forbidden thoughts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then the other theory is information processing. Our dreams help us sort out these events and consolidate our memory. It's kind of a way of going through all our files,
right,
and just kind of throwing out random ones and trashing some and getting rid of some, and it's just kind of flipping through them.
Okay.
The next one is a physiological function. When our regular brain stimulation from REM sleep, it may help develop and preserve our neural pathways. Without dreaming, we die.
Okay.
Wow.
So that's one of the reasons they think that's the only reason that scientists think the only reason we dream is to keep the brain active.
So it's kind
really
okay. So it's basically like it's like the movie Speed, where if you stop, you die.
Exactly.
Wow.
The fourth one is neural activation. REM sleep triggers neural activity that invokes random visual memories, which our sleeping brain kind of weaves into stories.
Okay.
So it's like kind of like your brain's bored, and your memories are kind of just throwing out stuff, and it's randomly piecing it in like a movie.
Okay.
The last one is just cognitive development.
I'm learning.
Content.
I'm learning in my sleep.
Yes. Your dream, it reflects the dreamer's cognitive development, their knowledge, and their understanding. The only thing with that is it doesn't address the neuroscience of dreams, but most people lean towards Freud's wish fulfillment explanation. But I think it's more of a lot of them, maybe like that one, and the dreams help us sort out our day's events, kind of.
So what about the theory that you're traveling to a different dimension? Do you talk about that in class? Do the kids even bring it up?
No, I've never heard anybody bring that up. I think that
you have a boring class.
I think that honestly, I mean, traveling through, I think it's I think that leads into something that you normally wouldn't think. I think it's your brain's way of kind of piecing through things that you may have thought of at some point in the day or in your lifetime, and maybe memories, and that's my opinion.
All right.
Wow.
Well, that's
I'm not
interesting.
saying it's not true. I'm not saying your dreams can't represent. And then the hypnosis I'm also teaching as well, and that's completely different. Like a lot of people don't realize that in your REMs, you're under hypnosis.
See, this is why I can't ever argue with her, because all the information I try to, but I just never win.
She's smarter than you.
So yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, honey, thank you very much for calling in with that.
That is.
No problem.
I guess the door will be left unlocked for me since I let her call in. So.
All right. All right. So that is Melissa Dark-Hogate, member of the Jumps team, and someone who knows a lot more about dreams than we do.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Melissa.
I hope I helped.
Yep.
Thanks, Melissa.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Now I can't stop saying over and over in my head, there's a bomb on the bus.
Well, I like how he turned your dream into like a whole like
a whole
20-minute
segment
conversation,
Wow.
you know. But I mean, again, it's so interesting.
That really got away from us.
Yeah, but
All right.
that's all right though. It was
Yeah.
good
All right.
topic.
We are. What do you think, Nick? You ready for the Parapick segment?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Leave now while you still can.
Here with Nick's Parapicks.
Oh my gosh, it's Nick.
I fucking love it.
Nick's Parapicks.
Gonna do this quickly since I don't want to take up too much time. A reporter is drawn to a small West Virginia town to investigate a series of strange events, including psychic visions and the appearance of a bizarre entities. This has a 6.5 out of 10 on IMDb, and it is 2002's The Mothman Prophecies, starring Richard Gere.
Nice. And I'm gonna say Deborah Winger. Who's the Deborah Messing? She was hot. Whoever it was.
Laura Linney.
Yeah. Well, Laura Linney was in it too, but his wife.
Oh, right.
The redhead.
Mary Klein.
Mary Klein.
I don't know.
Who the hell's Mary Klein?
Oh, that was her name in the movie, Deborah Messing.
Oh my God, Nick's Parapick is just going.
This is my beard talking.
Wow. All right.
I'm just here for comic relief.
Clearly.
Okay.
All right. Well, to back up Nick's Parapick, we have a little trailer here for the Mothman Prophecies.
We were just making sure there was adequate closet space.
Good. This house is yours if you want it. We'll take it. Okay. It's just me.
You didn't see it, did you? You didn't see it, did you? You didn't see it.
See what?
She knew. She was drawing angels.
What are you doing here?
Somehow between 1 and 2:30, I traveled 400 miles. I've got no memory.
Past few months, people have been coming up to me and reporting strange things. Weird lights, strange phone calls.
Hello? Who is this?
What do you do when someone comes into your office and tells you they saw this in their backyard?
My wife saw some. Drew pictures. Just like this. Who showed you this? You know what that is?
One day I started hearing voices. The voices became messages.
He was right here. All I could see were these two red eyes.
I met him. You met him. He said, do not be afraid.
99 will die. 99 will die.
All 99 are believed dead.
You're reading my mind, are you? What's in my hand? Chapstick.
This isn't just a message, it's a prediction.
Something terrible's gonna happen.
Earthquakes are going to happen. People you know and love are going to die. And no matter what that voice tells you,
You're frightened right now, aren't you?
there's nothing you can do about it.
I can stop this.
God, why can't you have a happy Parapick?
Yeah, really.
I did, Paul.
That's true. That's true. Okay.
The animated Parapick. Now, have you ever read the book, The Mothman Prophecies?
No, I can't read.
Wow.
Only in your dreams.
Yeah.
No, I haven't actually.
Yeah, it's interesting. The movie is really loosely based on the book. I have read the book, and the book is much more in detail than the movie. The movie is kind of they take pieces of the story and they elaborate it into, I guess, what Hollywood thinks would sell tickets.
Mm-hmm.
But
like they do with all books.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the book itself is much less dramatic. Well, I can't even say that. The book isn't really less dramatic. It's just dramatic in a different way. It's much more paranormal than the show, amazingly, because the movie was pretty paranormal, but the book really delves into the specifics. So it's a good read if anybody wants to pick up a little light reading for the
Toilet.
Or the toilet.
The toilet. All right, let's get into some news.
From the four corners of planet Earth, from the far reaches of the known universe, you can run, but you cannot escape. Paradelphia News.
I just totally lipped that whole thing, so anyone watching on the studio probably thinks, well, he does that all the time.
It looked really accurate.
Yes, see that?
We are live video as well.
Yeah, studio cam. Hey. Hi, Mom.
All right, so what do you have for us?
All right, I was mentioning to Nick, I found this article yesterday, and then earlier today I listened to his latest Joystick Jerks show, and he covered the story as well. But apparently Kanye West is developing his own video game.
Right.
Okay.
Because he has nothing better to do.
Not at all. Not at all. But you'll understand why I chose this. So whether it's comparing himself to Wreck-It Ralph characters or starring in Flash games about not letting him into his zone, hip-hop superstar Kanye West's relationship with gaming is about as strange as the rest of his career. Now, this is not my opinion. This is from Geek.com, so I don't need any Kanye fans sending me hate mail. But while it may be easy to snark at the idea of him developing a game of his own, you may have a change of heart after hearing his personal pitch. The idea is that it's my mother going through the gates of heaven, said West in a radio interview with Power 105.1, The Breakfast Club. You've got to bring her to the highest gate of heaven by holding her to the light. West's mother, Donda, passed away in 2007, and the game would be an adaptation of his recent single, Only One. The song features a hippo...
a hippo?
Yeah, oh, wow.
Hippo.
A hypothetical chat between
That's awesome.
his daughter and his daughter North and her late grandmother. Whatever you think of Kanye's music, at least he fully puts himself out there. So the notion that his video game would reflect that heartfelt spirit certainly sounds more promising than a cynical cash grab like 50 Cent Blood on the Sand. West said the game is in development now, but the premise is the only thing we currently know about it. Hopefully it doesn't turn into another Play the Industry, a vaporware hip-hop RPG proposed by Master P and Seth Green in 2007 and promptly forgotten. If Kanye continues dabbling in game development, though, maybe Dropout Bear could return. Can you think of a better modern mascot than a teddy bear wearing shutter glasses? So I guess this is kind of, up your alley with the video game. I mean, what's your thoughts on Kanye coming out with a game like this?
Not only do I think it's stupid, I think he's just copying his wife. She made her own video game.
Yes.
Well, if you want to call it that. But this seems like one of those web browser advertisements that you see on the side of the screen where you can just hover over it and you can control whatever's on the screen.
Right.
That's what it feels like to me.
Okay.
From the description, that's what it sounds like that he's making. It better be free to play.
Yeah.
Well, he's in.
I couldn't imagine.
He's in the chat room now, so we can.
Yeah, that's exactly what. He says Kanye loves video games, so Kanye made one.
Oh,
that's all his comments are.
He's batshit crazy.
But yeah, it's a weird concept for a game. Your mother passed away, and you're going to make a game. Someone trying to carry her to the game.
No, I'm serious. He's batshit crazy. The dude is certifiable.
Well, he's a gay fish.
Oh.
Already
that was a South Park reference. I'm sorry.
Sweet.
So, Tiff, what do you think? What do you think about the whole Kanye West thing? You haven't said a word all night.
I know. I'm taking it all in. You guys are overwhelming. I agree. He's batshit crazy.
Yeah.
Kanye loves too much Kanye.
Yeah. And then, what was it? The award show he almost ruined the other night. Did you watch that?
Oh yeah.
That was Beck. He was about to. It was like a joke though. He was about to walk up on stage and then he was like, "Nah, never mind."
Because we all know who Beck is.
Then Beck was like, "Come back." Well, Beck actually makes his own music.
Yeah.
So
he does an auto tune.
Yeah, or have a team of writers like Beyonce does. So Beyonce really didn't deserve that one.
Ah, boy. If only this were a music podcast.
I know, right?
All right, so I'm going to go with my first story here, and apparently there are some hidden secrets up in the Antarctic.
Oh.
Namely, the Nazis put a base up there back in the 30s. This is what's being claimed.
That's a heck of a... Okay.
This is what's being claimed in an article on allnewspipeline.com. It says there are claims that as early as the 1930s, the German Nazis built self-sufficient underground research facilities in the Antarctic, with some believing those bases were already built, found by the Nazis, and then utilized the ancient technologies to experiment with UFOs and other scientific experiments using advanced tech that mankind simply wasn't capable of creating at the time. More can be seen on that in a documentary, and it's called The Third Reich Operation UFO. I'm not going to play the whole documentary because it's 45 minutes long and it's half in Russian. But yeah, but basically the idea behind this, and I've read books on this before, where basically the idea is the Germans were very much into the occult. The Nazis were very much into the occult.
Mm-hmm.
And Hitler was very much into trying to develop weapons based on magic, essentially.
Sure.
And various things that were not thought of as, quote, mainstream. Now, the interesting thing about this, there was an explorer by the name of Admiral Richard Byrd who went up to the Arctic back in the 40s. Now, this is a legitimate explorer who went into the Arctic to do a scientific expedition.
Okay.
Now, he has or had a diary that he had kept for the expedition that was made public, and it was your basic, here's what we did. We ate...
Like a captain's log kind of
Captain's
thing.
log,
Yeah.
We ate jerky this day, and blah, 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 But there is supposedly a secret diary of Admiral Byrd that is or has been found.
Okay.
Now, it's noteworthy because of what was entered into it. And I'm going to read, this isn't real long, I'm going to read a little bit of this. It says, in a log entry titled Flight Log, Base Camp Arctic, 2/19/1947, the following portion was made at 11:30 hours to 11:45 hours, so basically 11:30 at night. 11:30 hours. Countryside below is more level and normal, if I may use that word. Ahead we spot what seems to be a city. This is impossible. Aircraft seems light and oddly buoyant. Now, they're in a plane at this point, obviously. Mm-hmm. The controls refuse to respond. My God. Off to our port and starboard wings are a strange type of aircraft. They're closing rapidly alongside. They're disc-shaped and have a radiant quality to them. They're close enough now to see the markings on them. It's some type of swastika. This is fantastic. Where are we? What has happened? I tug at the controls again. They will not respond. We're caught in an invisible vice grip of some type. 11:35 hours. Our radio crackles and a voice comes through in English with what perhaps is a slight Nordic or German accent. The message is, welcome, Admiral, to our domain. We shall land you in exactly 7 minutes. Relax, Admiral, you're in good hands. I note the engines of our plane have stopped running. The aircraft is under some strange control and is now turning itself. The controls are useless. 11:40 hours. Another radio message received. We begin the landing process now, and in moments the plane shudders slightly and begins a descent as though caught in some great unseen elevator. The downward motion is negligible, and we touch down with only a slight jolt. 11:45 hours. I am making a hasty last entry in the flight log. Several men are approaching on foot toward our craft. They're tall with blonde hair. In the distance is a large, shimmering city pulsating with rainbow hues of color. I do not know what is going to happen now, but I see no signs of weapons on those approaching. I hear now a voice ordering me by name to open the cargo door. I comply. End of log. This is Admiral Byrd's description of what he experienced between 11:45 hours and when the official flight log started again at 2:20 hours, is described in his diary entry as defying the imagination and would seem all but madness if it had not happened. As he goes on to explain, as he went on to explain his visit to, quote, the domain of the Ariani, and the inner world of Earth.
Okay.
So, basically what you have here is one of those do you believe this scenarios. Because this is a real explorer that was on a real expedition.
Yeah.
Who did log real flight logs. Now, do you believe that he had a secret? Well, it wouldn't have been a secret log to him because obviously he wanted this to get out. But I guess the idea is that those in the know, you know, the the overlords, so to speak, of the situation, or however you want to say it, they took this secret diary and kind of hid it away.
It's so I don't know how to take it because you know this guy here and him being an explorer, it's not something that is well known to the general public. Like, it's not something that you might suddenly remember from being taught in history class or whatnot in school. So anything like this, you juice it up a little bit with something. You know, who knows if it's true or not? I mean, who knows if any news is true or whatnot? But I mean, it's possible. Maybe what I'm thinking with this story is I think maybe there was something like this that he did write in his log. However, someone who would translate it or interpreted it added in to juice it up a little bit to make it
embellished.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's I could be wrong, of course, but I mean, just going off of this, that's kind of what my opinion is of it.
All right.
So, I mean,
all right. Well, moving on.
All right. This next one here. Let's see. There's a video for this too, but I'll post the video on our fan page. But apparently, a policeman performs an exorcism on a drunk suspect before arresting him. Yeah.
Awesome.
Stunning footage shows the religious cop shouting, "Unleash his body, Jesus," out in the name of Jesus, as stunned passersby looked on. A policeman called to arrest a drunk abusing people in the street stunned work pals and onlookers when he carried out an exorcism instead. Lieutenant Ricardo Mendez, 36, had gone to the scene with colleagues in Brazil and found Rodrigo Betty, 28, hurling abuse at passerbys. But after approaching him, Mendez suddenly grabbed the man's head as his colleague held him from behind and began muttering in Latin. Onlooker Paulo Cortez, 25, who captured the extraordinary event on his camera phone, told local media the drunk began speaking in a weird way. His voice was very low, and he looked very strange. The policeman then shouted, "Unleash his body, Jesus," out in the name of Jesus. I suddenly realized he was doing an exorcism on the man. It was incredible. As the man sank to his knees, growling, Mendez continued holding his head and calling for the devil to get out. Cortez says at one point the man fell to the ground, writhing and shouting. It really looked as if he was possessed, but the policeman was doing a great job. Someone behind me then said he was going to get a priest. Let's see. Spokeswoman who verified the authenticity of the video said when the priest arrived, the situation was under control and the man had been fully exorcised. The officer acted properly in the situation and did not abuse his authority. He believes in God and regularly goes to church. Betty was arrested and released the following day. He reportedly thanked the police officer, saying, "I can't remember a thing about last night. I must have been possessed by something." So what qualified the police officer to do a exorcism? I guess just the way this. Did he watch TV and he picked it up along the way? I guess just the fact that he believed in God and he felt like he had it in him. Yeah.
Everything I've read though says that you have to be a Catholic priest and meet all these for it to even work, for it to hold any type of truth to it.
Exactly, and just from like you said, things I've read, according to people who have performed or priests who have performed exorcism, it's a huge process. It's not like when you look at the movie The Exorcist, it's not like a 10-minute process that just takes place. That would be a cool show. Now that we have video, we'll do a live exorcism in the studio. Yeah, bad boys. We just need to find a possessed person.
We just got the thumbs up.
We got the thumbs up from our executive producer.
All right. We're going to make this happen.
So
anyone who's possessed, come into the chat room and let us know. Yeah. All right, so my last story here is going to kind of lead us into our interview tonight. The interview, again, is with Rachel Hoffman, who is a modern-day witch. And the last story I have here is from India. And, we talked last week with Stacy Tilney about the witch trials up in Salem back in the 1600s.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, it's kind of thought of, I guess, by a lot of people that this is something that happened in the past and it was just an archaic way of thinking and archaic way of acting.
Mm-hmm.
Not true. This is still going on. This persecution of people, whether they are or are not witches, is still literally going on.
Get out, really? Okay.
It says, while witch hunts may seem to be a dusty relic of a bygone era, the persecution, torture, and execution of suspected witches continues in many places to the present day. The problem is especially palpable in India. 2 weeks ago in a small Indian village not far from Nepal, Saraswati Devi, 45, was accused of being a witch after a local mystic identified her as having practiced black magic. Over a dozen villagers beat Devi to death as punishment, while her 2 children tried to intervene. Though Devi's husband identified her attackers and notified police, no arrests were made. Saraswati is just one of many gruesome witch tales out of India. Some 2,000-plus individuals have been murdered due to accusations of witchcraft between the year 2000 and 2012. According to data from the National Crime Records Bureau in India, as reported by the Indian newspaper Mint, once practiced only by tribal communities, witch hunting is now becoming common among Dalits and other minority communities. The idea of a witch is common across all afflicted Indian states. So, this is not something that happened 300 years ago.
Yeah, and then just stopped.
Right. This is literally going on in the world today. And, and this woman wasn't even actually a witch, or at least that we know of.
Sure.
I mean, you could have a beef against someone, point your finger, much like the trials, the Salem trials.
Yeah.
Because a lot of that was basically neighbor versus neighbor.
Well, let me tell you something. First of all, the things, especially now that are going on the other side of the world, it's like, it's seriously scary shit. Like, I'm sorry, but with all the stuff you hear about this whole ISIS and reading things like that, if you go there and you just look weird,
right,
they'll kill you right in public, and they'll make it slow. It's just, so I think this falls in line. Okay, they thought she was a witch, but it's to me it seems like it runs in the same concept if someone claims they're a Christian and it's not believed there, or someone's
right.
It's over there. It's just one of those things where I pray to God that it just stays there, because if it ended up over here, we'd
be in trouble.
We'd be in trouble. But on the same token, there's a lot of people here that would just take matters in their own hands, and if people with hoods on started coming down the street saying, "Oh, we're going to take you captive," guess what? You got another thing coming.
Doug would fight back.
Oh man, start a militia. So
nobody's taking Doug in as a
witch.
Nope,
not at all.
Not at all.
Fight to the last. Screw you, zombies.
You've thought about this, haven't you? You're feeling it.
I'll tell you what. Over the last 24 hours, I've come up with all kinds of ideas. You do not want me to get started. So.
All right. So that being the case, all right. So we're going to lead into our Paradelphia interview right now. We are going to throw it over to, like I said, an earlier interview we had with a lady by the name of Rachel Hoffman. She is a self-described Christian witch and leader of the Paranormal Xpeditions group up in Salem, Massachusetts. And we will go to that interview right now. All right, and joining us tonight on Paradelphia, this is the week 2 of our, what I called last week, our Witch Palooza?
Witch series, Witch Palooza, Witch something.
Now, last week we talked with Stacy Tilney of the Witch Museum up in Salem, Massachusetts, and she told us all about the trials, the witch trials, and how that all went down, I guess, over 300 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, things were pretty bad if you were either a self-described or considered by others to be a witch.
Oh, I know.
Then.
I would have been declared a witch if I lived in that time, absolutely.
Yeah, I have my doubts about you right now, Doug.
Well.
But on the line with us today is a lady by the name of Rachel Hoffman. And Rachel is actually the team leader and forensic specialist for a group called Paranormal Xpeditions up in the same Salem, Massachusetts area. And she is, in addition to a team leader for the paranormal group, she is a self-described Christian witch. Rachel, welcome to Paradelphia.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be with you guys tonight. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Anytime. Now, as I mentioned a second ago, I guess we'll start at the beginning. You describe yourself as a Christian witch. Now, I always wonder people who get into. Now, let me back up just a second because there's a question I guess that I should ask first. Are you Wiccan, or is this something else besides Wiccan?
No, Wiccan is actually, I think, considered more of a religion, so is paganism, and witchcraft is really just more a way of life for some people. It's not, you don't worship a certain god, or, it's more just the rituals that you go through in daily life, and also, much like a Christian holiday, witches also have their own kind of holidays that we celebrate, and it kind of connects to the universe and God for me personally. I know Tina, my partner in crime with Paranormal Xpeditions, also feels the same way as me. We consider ourselves our own little trio coven.
Okay, cool. Now, I guess the question I was going for right before that was, growing up, did you grow up in a traditional Christian household, or was there like a mixed religious thing going on, or ultimately, how did you come to take on the witch persona, I guess, or religion, or however you want to describe it?
My father is Native American, and I think that a lot of the rituals that are Native American can be at times confused with witchcraft. Herbology, gemology, all of those things kind of connect on the same, relevance when you're connecting spirituality in any kind of religion. And so for me, I found this really unique common ground with the universe, with God, and with all things respectively that I felt all came together as a common ground. And a lot of people all throughout my life were like, referring to it as witchcraft. And I came to, accept that as part of who I am. I happen to use herbs to open an investigation, a paranormal investigation, and I use herbs to close out an investigation. I feel like it's my way of kind of giving back to the universe in that kind of, in that non-physical kind of way, and it's a spiritual way for me to go about my daily activities. And I incorporate it into my paranormal investigations, and I find that it opens up that kind of otherworldly realm for us. So
right. Now, you mentioned God in what you were saying there, and I know that with a lot of the Wiccan religions, it's a female deity or an earth. I guess I'm not even quite exactly sure what it is, like a female earth deity, if you want to call it that. Is that also what you believe? Is there something different, or do you believe in the Christian God as it stands in the Bible?
I do. I believe that God is my creator and that Jesus is my savior, and that is kind of the realm of thinking that I won't worship another God. Wiccan is a religion, and I am not a Wiccan witch. I am just a witch, and I'm an independent individual, so that means I kind of like write the rules as I go.
Okay.
But as a Christian, I only worship God. I only worship Jesus. That's my kind of grounds that I stick to. But when it comes to, opening and closing different realms of rituals that I go through in my daily life, I do incorporate witchcraft. It seems a very natural thing for me to do. A lot of people think that the god and the goddess that are represented in witchcraft are male and female, and that they are an actual god and an actual goddess, when in fact they are seasons. So the goddess, it would be spring, the natural mother, the time that the earth comes to light, and that's something that you have to respect in that kind of aspect of things. So we will do gatherings, we will do things that represent women in a whole, and the same thing with the winter. That should be the time of the Godhead, and that's when there is respectively nothing going on the earth, and that's when, things aren't being born, and so that's when you kind of represent the two, and it would look like male and female from the outside perspective.
So it's more of an analogy than an actual deity.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. It's about respecting the earth and what the earth and the properties of the earth have to give you. I think that's where a lot of people are confused, and I've actually been asked if I'm a devil worshiper. It can be confusing when somebody comes in and they see the candles and they see the herbs and they see the gems, and they see the pentagrams and things like that, they automatically assume that it's dark.
And that's kind of one of the big reasons why we wanted to tackle this topic here, is because right away, as soon as you hear that someone is a witch or something, the first thing in their head is, oh, they come up with voodoo dolls and it's all devil and things like that. So one of the things that I learned, of course, when I went up and visited your area, is that it's not all about that. It's not all the devil and things like that. So you're saying it's more of like worshiping the earth while still worshiping, God as the creator and things like that.
Yeah, and it's also about the herbology aspect of things. If back in the day, a man would have given you a medicine to alleviate a headache, he would have been called a doctor. Mm-hmm. But if a woman would have done it, she would have been called a witch.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're out gathering, right? You're out gathering the common element in Tylenol is acetaminophen, and that's the active ingredient in willow bark. So if you would go out and scrape willow bark and create kind of a stew for, a headache, you would be considered a doctor. But a woman, like I said, it's just viewed differently.
Right. Right. Now, I imagine, or I would imagine that you would run into some kind of resistance within, a typical Christian church if they knew, or when they find out that you are a witch and that you do these things. Have you ever come up against something like that?
I do. There's rules in Christianity. There's rules in witchcraft. There's rules in basically every element of anything in ritual or belief systems that you can come up with or conjure on a daily basis. And that's why so much of the time I like to consider myself an independent witch. When I go to worship God and I go to worship Jesus, I do like to go to a church. I do like to feel that component of togetherness where everybody's gathering in one place for a common belief system. I find a mass amount of positive energy in that, but I don't go around talking about the aspects of what I do in my daily life because of that judgmental aspect of things.
So it sounds, my next question was going to be if there's anything that you find that you're, I guess, cutting off the stake, so to speak, of the typical Christian religion. And to me, it sounds like the judgmental part of it is what you're trying to leave behind.
Definitely. I'm not a biblical Christian, so I don't follow the Bible. I do have my own systems of beliefs, and I do have my own guidelines, but as an independent individual, I write my own rules. Mm-hmm. I don't follow the rules of a typical Christian church. Of course, they would never allow me to talk about the witchcraft aspect of things.
Right.
And it's funny you mentioned that, with the witchcraft or being a witch compared to Christianity. I mean, myself, for over the last 8 years, just like you, I have my own team from this area that we've been successful. Fortunately, we are known by several people, but when there's a time that I go to church, even though they know, I don't like to bring it up. I will have people that will come up and say it. So again, you got to find that cutoff kind of mark, leaving one in the other.
Yeah, absolutely. Paranormal is also you're breaching on the line of science.
Sure.
And when you're going, I asked a question on my Paranormal Xpeditions page the other day, is paranormal investigation more religion or science? And it's all a matter of opinion. Mm-hmm. So I come to find out. Right. And really, it could be based off of scientific facts, but really, I mean, in the whole realm, it just has to do with your belief system.
Sure.
Right. Now, as far as your group, Paranormal Xpeditions, do you find that being a witch is something that helps with the investigations, and if so, in what way?
Like I said before, when we open and when we close, we definitely incorporate those elements. We use old age equipment and new age equipment, some of that little bit of scientific versus spiritual equipment. We open with a pendulum session, and we kind of conjure the activity and ask the spirits to come and, spike some of the equipment or do some of those things. And when we're ending the investigation, we always close out with sage. We always close out with the same realm, the pendulum session, bring it back to the the older age and using some of that equipment and using some of the stones and the herbs, it just helps us breach that gap between earthly and spiritual.
Now, I've heard that about sage. I've seen that, on TV and various shows where they'll come in and I guess they call it smudging, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Now, I always wondered, what exactly is it about sage that is supposed to be driving the evil spirit out? Like, how does that work, or do you know how that works?
I do know how that works. Actually, I'm Native American, and we had always saged our area. And what it is it charges positive ions in the air. And this is an actual known fact. Like, you can do your research and everything on it, scientifically, spiritually, and all that. Sage it's a charger, and it charges like positive ions in the air. So negativity only has so much space to live when you charge it with that light. So in the hopes that enough people will come together and enough, I feel like the sage is actually intelligent, and sometimes I'll notice that it'll go out quickly, or it will stay lit for a very long period of time because it knows the need. And I see it billowing sometimes. Actually, I use it as a guide for me sometimes to see, kind of what I'm dealing with. I notice that there's thinner lines of smoke for children. I noticed that for some of the evil entities that were never human, there's more billowing, like larger piles of smoke. So I use that as a tool to guide me also. And it's a very spiritual thing for me, but it did start out as something that I used on my reservation initially.
Now, a follow-up question with the sage. Is it sage that you only use, or one thing that I've kind of learned a lot about over the about last year was Palo Santo wood, which I guess if I'm remembering it correctly, it's actually from a very old tree from like South America, and it's supposed to have the same kind of like healing and positive energy as sage. Have you ever kind of experimented with something like that?
Yeah, I definitely have. There's sweetgrass, there's different elements. I feel like anything that this is all part of the gathering, all part of that witchcraft sense that a lot of people don't realize, that when you're going out and you're going against nature, you have to actually like give gifts and then accept different things from nature. So some of those things have already been positively charged with some bodies, spiritual realm of thinking. So I definitely believe in consecration, which if you purchased it somewhere, then someone's already gone over it spiritually and made sure that it was purified in their own right and kind of blessed, like a priest would do with bread or wine.
Right.
So I feel like, it all depends. That same thing with the charms, same things with anything that you would do for bringing something in to protect yourself.
So stones and things like that, it has everything to do with the positive and or negative charge of the actual object.
I feel like in that realm of thinking, we are, if you break apart molecular biology, we're all just a part of these stones, all just a part of these stars, all just a part of this universe. So, when it comes to healing and things like that, there are different elements that you can use of the earth, like copper, to alleviate certain pains. That's because that's kind of what we are. We are all made of, different elements of this earth. And I feel like when you use those things to kind of charge the energy around you, it helps. I mean, it's all part of what we're made out of. So when it helps to conjure up and manifest the energy, you could be using something that's electronic, or you could be using something that's old age, like a stone or a quartz or a crystal.
Right.
Absolutely.
Now, how much do you think that intention plays a part?
I feel like when you're talking about, if you're talking about your own psychic energy,
yeah,
I believe that in the manifestation of your own psychic energy. I do. I've tested it on my own when I'm just like by myself. That kind of like, will the clock turn back to numbers? Will I be able to do this? And then it kind of happens, and it's like, okay, so yeah, I do believe in people being able to possess enough energy to pass it on to an object. And also in that same realm of thinking, being able to manifest enough energy to move an object.
Right.
So whether or not it's, I don't like to call things poltergeist. I think that sometimes you ask a ghost to move something, he moves it, and then all of a sudden people are like, oh my God, that's a poltergeist.
Oh, I know the
When
feeling.
in fact it's just a ghost telling him, doing exactly what you asked it to do.
Right. Right. Now, as a witch, if you go into an investigation and you are engaging with a spirit, do you tend to, do you let that spirit know your beliefs, and does that have an effect? Or is it just something that you assume is inherent and they would know based on, you know, whatever lets that spirit know anything?
Sometimes spirits are completely selfish and they don't give a crap about what I am doing or what my day's like. So sometimes it is just more of that residual activity that I'm picking up on, that my equipment's picking up on. But when it's intelligent, it definitely knows. I feel like male witch, female witch, whatever you are, whatever you claim to be, when you're more spiritually inclined, they know.
Mm-hmm.
They know, and you get the hitchhikers in those cases. They can attach themselves to you for a various amount of time. They can affect your entire investigation. They can affect you when you go home from your investigation and days after. I think that in that realm, you have to protect yourself from these entities that want to attach themselves to you. When you're spiritually stronger than the average person,
right.
I think that it makes you a magnet and
right.
it makes you vulnerable.
Right.
Male, female, witch or not. Like if you're more spiritually inclined, then definitely they're going to be aware of that.
Have you ever ran into a situation where something has attached itself to you even after taking all these steps you talk about, where somehow they just broke through it and brought, in a sense, something home?
I think so, yeah. I do believe, like I said, in the possibility of an object holding on to kind of that spiritual energy.
Mm-hmm.
I like to refer to it as the Lyle Watson's The Secret Life of an Inanimate Object, his studies on that. I feel like that's why in some ways that you are able to kind of, if you have a necklace that you love so much and you lose it, and then you kind of pray over it, and then you find that necklace, it actually found you. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I believe that there is a possibility that different things can attach themselves to you without you even being able to, like, have any say in it.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, living up in Salem, have you run into anything any more resistance to the label of witch than you would or have anywhere else? Is it kind of like a post-traumatic stress type of thing where people up there kind of react a certain way because of the history?
I think a lot of people that walk around here, they're kind of like nonchalant about it.
Mm-hmm.
Where a lot of outsiders coming into Salem, they're like, oh my God, so we're going to Salem, there's all these witches, and like a lot of like that fun kind of
right.
way of thinking, when really we're all kind of just low key. It's
Yeah.
a low crime area. Nobody's really doing anything. Like I'm in the back of the cemetery right now, in the back of the gallows where the witches were hung,
mm-hmm.
or the said witches were hung.
Hmm.
And their bodies were completely disrespected. They weren't given a Christian burial. And I'm over back on the back side of the wall, hanging out in my car, just chilling out, talking to you guys.
Wow.
And I just, yeah,
Awesome.
It's very quiet. It's very like, nothing's going on here tonight type of thing. Nobody's walking around like pillaging or anything like that.
Right.
But I do feel like outsiders, when they hear that you're from Salem, they automatically go into the stories. A lot of people feel this attachment to the individuals that were hung in the trials.
Right.
And they feel as though maybe they're reincarnate, or, I run into a lot of that around here, where they come here and they feel this automatic attachment to the land, to the stories, to the area, to the legacy.
Yeah.
And it's more magical than anything.
Well, that brings up another point. How do you view the afterlife? Do you believe in reincarnation, or is it something else?
I definitely believe in reincarnation. I asked a common question the other day that is kind of like, very of the physical world. And I asked people, how old do I look? And not that I really cared how old people thought that I looked, but I felt as though I had something really interesting to bring to the table, because I feel as though I'm over 2,000 years old, and that I've lived multiple number of times. I've outlived my grandmother. I've outlived my mother. So there are tons of times where people will ask me in that same realm of thinking, and a lot of people are thinking like, oh, I've lived once or twice before, but I'm thinking to myself, I think I've lived like 2,000 times before.
Have you ever done a past life regression?
I have done one before with a psychic in upstate New York, and I was given kind of like, you know, just the basics. It was kind of like that 10 minutes of regression. So I think I could have gone a lot further. But what I do know is that through experiences and through different times where you see things and, you know, everybody's like, oh, that's something that you're seeing from the past. Like, I truly believe that. I truly believe that we do live. And there's new souls just like there's old souls. So not everybody's lived 2,000 times. But, yeah, I definitely believe in the in past life.
Wow.
Interesting. Now, how about your investigations? Have you had any favorites that you would want to talk about?
Wow, I've had so many favorites.
That's kind of a loaded question, but...
I've been sticking a lot to my residential cases lately. So that's more the ones that we don't put out there and that we're more private about. And there are people that reach out to us that are looking for a little bit of help or an answer, or for somebody just to tell them that they're not crazy completely.
Right.
So I've been sticking to those lately, and I enjoy them. It's something different. I do love anything true crime, of course. That's got to be some of my favorite stuff. I'm looking into diving into a few cases this year, Albert Fish being one of them, my favorite serial killer.
Yeah, I heard about him last weekend. I heard a podcast on him. Yeah.
Oh, did you?
I did. It's funny you mentioned that because I thought when I heard the podcast that it would be an interesting show.
I'm a fish expert.
Are you? Well, I was going to explain it, but you could probably do it better than I can because I think Doug doesn't know who he is.
No, I'm having a blank here.
Okay, Albert Fish is, quote unquote, the first serial killer in America, and he basically targeted young boys back in the 1920s. I'm highlighting 3 of his major cases. It's Billy Gaffney, Francis McMahon, and won't I be the one to forget them? It's important.
No pressure or anything.
Grace Budd. And so what he did was he actually he kidnapped these children. Most of the times with the boys, he would be sexually aggressive with them, and then he'd eat them.
Oh,
yeah.
Grace Budd was his one that was kind of like off the end. It was commonly thought that he thought of her as a boy.
Yeah.
So he kidnapped her. It was this big, huge. I mean, it's a huge story behind it. It's not just as simple as I'm making it. But he ate her body over the course of 9 days.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was in New York, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. It was actually Wisteria Cottage.
Yeah.
In New York. And I'm going back there. The realtor is having a problem selling the land, selling the house, for obvious reasons.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's the one that I did hear about. He came up and he was supposed to take her to like a birthday party or something, right?
Yeah, actually he was there to pick up her brother, Edwin.
Okay.
So he was there to pick him up, and it was supposedly he was going to pick him up, but he saw the size of him and his friend, and because like I said, he was a pedophile, but he liked boys.
Right.
But he saw Grace, and because of that kind of typical haircut back in the 1920s that made him look like, made the girls look like boys, he said in his letter to her mother that he didn't rape her, that she died a virgin.
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly. But see, those are some of the topics that I'd like to tackle because it's only between you and the murderer. It's not between you and the victim. Where the victims, I'm sure, would have a lot more to say.
Now, how would you go about that? What you're talking about, I guess, delving into it, what exactly does that mean for you?
For me, that means going back to these places where some of that residual activity might hang and going back and saying to the victims instead of the murderer, what really happened here. And also, I was talking about introducing biotechnology to the field. Now, the interesting fact about the Wisteria Cottage is, like I said, it hasn't been touched, nothing's been done. You can go back and kind of review the blood splatter with the chemiluminescence, which would show you the hemoglobin around the local spots, and you could actually see for yourself what was going on in that room in the last few moments. Or you could take Albert Fish's word, and he lied about 100 other situations too.
Right.
Or you could go back and you could relay the handprints and the facts and the blood splatter and just do like a common day forensic investigation. Wow. And kind of come up with what really happened.
Yeah, I just pulled up a picture of him, and it's I mean, he was a creepy old-looking guy with an actual quote. I don't know if he said it or not. That says, "I like children. They are tasty."
Yeah,
like,
he did say that.
Oh my gosh.
He wanted to gross out the investigators in the end, so he was like really trying his hardest.
Yeah. Wow. Let's get into a few lighter things here. You guys, your group appeared on a TV show, correct?
A few of them.
A few of them. Okay. Why don't you talk about that and let us know what what shows and your experiences doing them?
The Paranormal Challenge on the Travel Channel was the first show that we appeared on as a trio.
I remember seeing that
one. It was basically the girls against the guys. We were in the Rolling Hills Asylum in East Bethany, New York. It was a totally creepy, awesome environment. In the month of April, so it couldn't have been more cold. And there's me, who is the self-proclaimed leader, and there's my sister, Danielle, who's the skeptic, and there's Tina, I like to call her, and she's a brave heart. And we went in and we kind of just, poked our heads around, and we were the cool cats in the crew. The guys are kind of jerks, and overall, hate to spoil it for everybody, but they won and we lost. Totally unjustified, by the way. Damn it, Zach Bagans.
It was a sexist show.
Yeah.
It was.
Wow.
He didn't want us to win because we're pretty. No, I'm just kidding.
I feel your pain.
We left with some amazing evidence. The best EVP, says Dave Schrader and a few other of the judges that were there on our show.
Mm-hmm.
It was just amazing. It was an amazing experience altogether. And then in the future, Tina and I both had our own episodes of Bio's My Ghost Story.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yep.
Surrounding a specific case or just your own personal?
Each one of us had our own case. It involved the trio each time. Tina had Storyville in Boston, where she caught the apparition of Billie Holiday.
Cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that was one of our, greatest, most amazing investigations. Tina's a singer, and so she had a special connection, I feel like, with that case, and that was the one that was highlighted with Tina on the Bio channel.
Okay.
And mine was the Middleborough Town Hall.
Okay.
And it was basically just the most compelling evidence that I had ever gotten. I got 9 solid thermal images. It was basically like a man standing kind of far away from us.
You
obviously,
said 9?
3 females.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. You said 9 thermal?
9 thermal images.
Oh, my
yep.
gosh, wow.
And, this figure went from complete solid form to dissipating completely out of form.
Wow.
And obviously, you can tell the difference between a male body and a female body. There was just 3 girls in the room.
Right.
So when they did the Bio's My Ghost Story, they were showing the thermal images. They were caught in a blue form. It was amazing. It was the most compelling evidence that I personally have ever seen.
That's awesome.
We'll have to check that out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Huh. All right. Well, not to we have an hour show, so we're going to have to cut it short a little bit here. But I absolutely thank you for coming on with us tonight, and you have a standing invitation to come back and talk some more with us.
Yeah, especially when.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys so much. I don't know. Can I plug really quick?
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
Sure.
Oh, awesome. And you guys can find Paranormal Expeditions next at the Salem Con, April 10th through 12th. And we're going to be sharing a table with Joni Mayhan from the author from Bones in the Basement from the Haunted Victorian Mansion. It'll be hosted at the Hawthorne, like I said, April 10th through 12th, and we would love it if everybody can come out and see us.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome. And your website is Paranormal Expeditions?
Yep. And also you can find us under Pretty Paranormal, and a lot of people have been liking our a Paranormal Life. It's our Paranormal Life. It was something, actually, a concept I started a few years ago. So thanks for the likes, everybody.
Sure.
It's been the most recent boost in popularity for us. So we always appreciate the support, and thank you guys so much for having us.
Sure. No, and I just want to add to the listeners also that it's Paranormal Expeditions, but with no E in front of Expeditions.
Right, we like to throw people off.
Yeah, and yeah, I hear you. But no, what I'll do is we'll put it up on our Facebook fan page and all our website and things like that. Just so people can go back and kind of check you guys out. So.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Thank you for coming on the show, and I wish you guys the best, and hopefully we'll be talking to you sometime soon.
Okay, awesome. Tell Tiffany I said hey.
She's right here. Go ahead. Here, go ahead.
Hey, girl, hey.
Hey, Tiffany. I love you. I'm your number 1 fan.
Can we be number 2?
Absolutely.
It's a love fest.
I'm telling you. Awesome.
All right, Rachel,
have
thank
a
you.
great weekend. Thank you so much.
You too. Thank you again. All right, that was our interview with Rachel Hoffman.
Ended kind of strong.
Yeah. Tiff got involved there at the end.
First word she said all night.
When I get involved.
Yeah, that was a fun interview. That was very informative.
Oh God, she obviously knows her stuff when it comes to all the things. So yeah.
Yeah, so it was real interesting. I was really curious when you first brought the idea to me, because you said she was a Christian witch, which seemed very much a oxymoron.
Yeah. People raise their eyebrows like, what? I mean, witches are portrayed as being evil anyway, so.
Yeah. Are you on, Nick?
Now I am.
There you go.
It confused me, too, when you first said that. I don't know.
No, you're right. It's, I'm glad she could kind of shed some light, saying that it's not all bad, it's not all evil. I'm sure there are, people who are witches today that may be evil and bad, but
right.
Obviously, that's not the whole idea behind it. So.
Right. Yeah. It seemed like kind of a best of both worlds type of thing,
Sure.
where she still has the religious ties to the good part of the Christian religion, and she kind of, like I said in the interview, she kind of drops away the judgmental part and goes more for the earth.
Yeah.
Earthy, I don't know what I'm trying to say here.
And it seems to me, regardless of what type, like whether you're a Christian witch or whatever, it all seems to focus on the earth and the environment and spells and whatnot. Energy.
Yeah, it seems to be everything.
Which kind of, it kind of makes you wonder why people so much feared witches.
I think it just goes back to the whole 300 years ago, over 300 years ago, with the whole witch trials. I think that's what it all boils down to. If it was the opposite, and back then someone who was named a witch, that means they were like an angel from heaven, it would be a whole different outlook. Everybody would be a witch. You, me, Nick.
Right.
I'm a witch.
You are now.
Yeah.
You are now.
Fears the unknown. People don't, if they are not educated on it, it's not normal, obviously.
Right. Yeah. Fear of what they don't know. All right. What we do know. Coming up next week, we have a interview, I guess we call it an interview, a discussion with Michelle Granberg and my lovely fiancée, Taryn, and myself. We are going to be talking about the past life regression sessions that we both sat through. Michelle was the, I guess you call her the proctor for it, or I'm not sure how you'd say that.
I've been waiting for this. I just can't wait.
She did the past life regressions with Taryn, and she'll be doing it with the past life with me this weekend. Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting.
Absolutely.
We'll get into that, and much like the February was the season of the witch, so to speak.
Yes.
March we're going to try and go with this theme thing, and March is going to be more along the lines of a lot of shows having to do with afterlife, death, after past lives.
And while they're all going to be great, I cannot wait for the one on March 19th.
Yeah. Well, did we talk about that yet?
We have not.
You want to drop the bomb, or do you want to wait?
Absolutely. Now, there's going to be quite a few people that are probably going to say, what? But Rick, Nick, and myself, we are going to have an Ouija board experiment right here in the studio, live on the air.
You damn right.
And in addition to that, we're going to have S&D here to kind of set up equipment to check everything, kind of monitor what happens. And basically we're going to kind of test. We're going to use this as a part 1 test to see what this thing's all about.
Now, S&D is the S&D Paranormal Group he's referring to. Yeah.
And yeah, we're going to see what happens. I'm looking forward to that. Again, I mentioned it on Facebook and put it out there. Some people are like, "Oh, you're messing with something. You're all going to be possessed and die."
Well, Nick wants to be possessed.
Nick is ready. Like, he's been ready.
He's like an open. He's like a whore for being possessed.
Yeah. I just want something inside me.
He's
Why? Hold on. Mike just stood right up and just came out of the...
Yep. Yeah, he did.
Nice.
He's like 6 martinis in, laying with his legs spread wide open.
Yeah. Wow. So looking forward to that.
And this coming Saturday, Doug and I are going to be taking a trip up to North Jersey.
A 2-hour road trip.
A 2-hour road trip. Alone.
After that comment, I'm glad you're not letting Nick go.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Why are we going to North Jersey, Doug?
We're heading up to the movie premiere of Bruce Tango's movie, The Staring Man.
Yep.
We're going to go up there. There's a huge list of people that are going to be there. Cast members from the Sci-Fi Channel Ghost Hunters, Bruce Tango.
We're going to be networking. Yes,
we are. We're going to go up and put the Paradelphia name up there and maybe get some interesting guests on the show. But I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be a good time, and I can't wait to see the movie, honestly. So
I really wanted to go.
See?
But
I'll pick you up. Just don't tell her.
Maybe he could be like a child.
I really wanted to go.
Do kids
and
get in free?
And bring my dad, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I really wanted to.
And you can't?
But no, I can't. We had plans. What was the birthday party? I don't know. What's the date again?
It's this Saturday.
This Saturday, yeah. We have 2 birthday parties to go to.
You guys go to a lot of birthday parties.
There's a lot of births happening.
You know, a lot of people being born.
Yeah. Well, and that's the last day we have to clean out our old apartment before we have to split. So
okay.
That's 3 things we have to do.
Well, listen to next week's show.
Yeah.
And we'll tell you all about it.
I will.
We'll take selfies of ourselves.
All right. So in addition to all that, we have obviously the apps that are available.
Oh, yeah.
On both iTunes and Google Play for Toxic Radio and also for Paradelphia. And in addition, there was an app contest that Toxic Radio ran, and we actually have a winner.
Yes.
Now, this person's name, what I got was Martin.
Just Martin.
Just Martin.
That's it.
Much like Prince or Beyonce, he's just Martin.
Just Martin.
And he had an epic entry. He basically, and if I can describe, we'll put the picture on social media.
Mike will have to get on that soon, putting that picture up in the chat room.
He took a picture of himself. I think it was on the toilet with an umbrella.
Yeah.
With a monster mask on. What else?
There he is.
A bunch of empty beers.
Yes, Mike just put it up in the chat room. Yeah.
Good. There it is. And
so good.
If you're in the chat room now, you can see it now.
It's phenomenal. Well, I'll put it on the fan page also. So.
It is interesting. So anyway, Martin was the grand prize winner, so he will be accompanying the Jumps team sometime in the spring on an investigation. Where was that again?
Put
you on the spot.
Yeah, the Lake House Inn in Franklinville. But I don't know. Now that I'm seeing this picture up close, I don't know if I want him to join us.
A little disturbing.
Maybe. No, it'll be fun. You just got to keep that mask at him.
By the way, real fast.
Hey.
This is Toxic Mike, by the way.
I spoke to Martin, and congratulations to him. He put out a great submission to the contest. He was actually talking about possibly giving it up because he's scared.
Oh,
he's scared.
He's a scared little boy inside, and he doesn't want to go out to the ghosts.
Well,
but Grim Radio's own Rich Olson said that he will go with him.
Okay.
On the ghost hunt, be his special guest, and
hold
his hand while he goes down.
Well, thank you, Rich, for that.
Interacts with Casper.
Wow.
All right. Well, there you go.
Well, stay tuned. That sounds like it's going to be interesting.
I get scared all the time.
Yeah, right? All right, so once again, you guys can download those apps on iTunes and Google Play.
Mm-hmm.
And, Doug, you have some Jumps news.
Yeah, well, let's see. Right now, just a few days ago, we opened up applications. We're accepting applications right now. We're looking to fill probably 2 or 3 investigators right now. Still haven't made my mind up, and I have a management team. We all discuss this stuff, but we are looking for new members. You don't have to have any experience. We'll train you. And just, obviously, fortunately, we've been very successful. And if you're interested, go to our website. It's jumps.2fear.com. There's an online application, and I don't know when I'm going to close the applications yet. Maybe sometime next week. So,
You know what would be cool?
What's that?
If Kanye West put an application in.
Oh, yeah. All of a sudden, I'm going to get an application for Kanye.
How bitchin' would that be?
Yeah, I know.
All right. So applications for the Jumps team. And Nick, do you guys have anything for the jerks coming up?
We have a lot in the works.
Okay.
I can't say anything yet. I can, but I won't. But go to our YouTube page. We upload the live streams of our podcast every week, every Sunday. Yeah, that's about it. Twitch.tv/thejoystickjerks every Sunday at 4.
Boom.
Boom.
There it is.
Well, sometimes you're late though. I know I've been listening. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, I listen to the replay.
Yeah.
I don't listen to
the last.
He's late on the replay.
Well, yes.
Yeah. The last episode we had to start early, but we started later than we had planned.
Nice.
So yeah.
Wow. All right. So that's our show for the evening. I want to thank Rachel Hoffman for coming on. And Doug, you got something else?
I'm sorry. I do have one more thing I want to mention real quick. Something that Toxic Radio is going to get involved in, and you and I, Rick, will be hosting. Looks like on March 21st, we're going to be attending at the High Nella Bar and Grill a beef and beer benefit. Start at 7:00 p.m. It costs us $25 per person, which includes Yingling, Coors Light, and Miller's Light, with $1 off of mixed drinks. Right now there's an RSVP page on Facebook, which I'll, again, post that to the fan page. And tickets should go on sale for that probably in the next week and a half or so. So be on the lookout for that. But it's going to be a good time. Mike's Toxic Radio is going to be there. We'll be broadcasting from there, playing music. And it's going to be great. So we'll have more on that in the next couple of weeks.
Come out to meet us. Doug will give you his autograph.
Yep, and a You're Welcome World shirt.
All right, guys, that's the show for the evening. Thank you again to Rachel Hoffman, to Tiffany, to Doug, to Nick,
yes,
to Toxic Mike, who made a brief appearance. All right, thank you for listening. Thank you for being in the chat room. We'll catch you guys next week.
See you, Kanye.
Bye-bye.